Hello, what's up friends? Welcome back to the channel. This is Austin back again with another simple tutorial in web development. So guys, in this simple tutorial, I'll be showing you how you can create some simple preloaders using Ajax. That's what I'm going to be showing you. So I'm just going to show you some live example here. Right now I'm having a simple page. As you can see, it can be a full page, portion of your page. So anywhere that you want to display those preloaders as the user is waiting for the server response. This is a live example. When the user clicks this button, we shall get this simple preloader as you are waiting for the server response. When it's done, we hide that preloader and we display the data to the user, or anything anything that the user wanted to download from your page and get it. So that's what I'm going to be showing you in this simple tutorial, creating this simple preloader that you saw here on the screen using Ajax. So let's get started. As you can see, there is some toasts that I'm displaying to the user that are fetched successfully, and I'm using some framework called Materialize. So we are having a blank page. This is what we are going to be working with. The most important file that you need right now, it is jQuery. So you need to download jQuery, or if you already have it on your PC, you need to include it in the project where you're going to be working from or trying out this tutorial. The rest of the links are option. I'm just using these links just to design and display those toasts that you saw that I was displaying to the user on the page, plus designing the layout and buttons that I'll be clicking. So right now here I'm going to create a button, and I'm going to give this button the ID of get data. So you can, IDs are user defined, you can call it anything you want. And I say fetch data, and up here I'm going to place just some h4, Ajax preloader. What I forgot to show you is where you're going to get that simple preloader that you saw on the screen. So there is a simple website here called ajaxload.info. So you just come here where you're saying indicator type, and they will display to you the different type of preloaders that they have. But to show you how we can also create our own custom preloaders using that framework. So right now, as you saw, I'm using this preloader that you're seeing here. So when you need this, you just click it and they will show you the different places you can play around with the background, foreground, so anything that you want. Then what you're going to do is click this generate it button, and I will bring it here down and click this download it link or button. So that's what you need to do when you want to download these types of GIFs. I'm going to leave this link in the description so that you go and look for the different type of GIFs that you want. That's what I'd forgotten to show you. So right now we are having a simple button here. If I'm to refresh the page, this is what we are having: a simple h4 and a button. So I'm going to style this button by giving it some class of btn blue. btn blue. Forgive me for the noise in the background. So I'm going to save this and review it in the browser, and we are having some simple design on the page. So those stylings or classes are now coming from this framework that are included in the project. Then below it, we are going to create another div, and I'm going to give it an ID of loader. And inside this div, it's where I'm going to place that GIF image that I downloaded on the page. So right now, this is the folder that I'm working with. As you can see, I'm having some simple GIF image called ajaxloader.gif. So inside this div, it's where I'm going to include that image. Save. Sorry. We put the source attribute. It's called Ajax or ajaxloader.gif. refresh page, save that and refresh the page, and this is what you're having. But as you can see, it's not, somehow calling the, so I'm just going to put some inline styling on it. Put here style, and we say margin top, and I'm going to give it 10 pixels. Refresh. As you can see, it has now left the button. Then we don't want the user to see this GIF image before taking any action on your page. So what we are going to do, just add another property, which is display, and the value is none. So we want to display it to none. We don't want the user to see it before taking any action. So that's the styling that we want. It is hidden on the page, but if you are to check in the background, it's really working. So below here, we are going to create another div. I'm just going to give it the ID of results. So this is where we want to display the results that we are going to be getting from some API. I guess that's the markup we want. It's just a button where we're going to be clicking, and the loader we are going to be displaying to the user and displaying the result that we are going to be getting from the other API that I'm going to be showing you. So we want to work with some real life example. We don't want to just display the loader before without doing anything. So I want to show you some real life example. So we are going to create some simple script tags. And with jQuery, we always want to listen to the document load. So we want the document to fully load for us to execute the code that we are going to be running. So we just put there the $, and we target the document. So we say document, document. We say .ready. We want when everything is ready on the page. Then we pass in this anonymous callback function. So right now we are listening to the document if everything is ready. That's the use of that function, that statement we have written up there. Then what you need to listen to, it's a click on this button. So we want to run everything when the users click button. So I'm going to target that button. Remember, we gave it an ID of get data. So we say hash get data. So that's the ID we gave it to it. Now I want to add some event on the button. So on click, that's the type of event we want add on click. Then put a comma. We put the callback function. Put a semicolon there to end the statement. So we want when the user clicks on the button, we run the rest of the code that will be inside here. So first we add if everything was loaded on the page, then we want to run everything when the user clicks the button with the ID of get data. So when the user clicks that button, we want to start off our Ajax request. So we say $.Ajax. So this is the request we want to make. This is what we want to use when we are getting the response from the server. So we use Ajax, end it with a semicolon. Let me not put a lot of space. I just want to space everything so that you see it properly. That's why I'm leaving such kind of spaces. So what we want to listen to at first, what type of request are we making to the server? So the type of request that we want to make to the server, it's the get request. So we shall come here and write get. Put a comma. Then where do we want to get that data from? We put the URL, and the place we want to get that data from is from this API JSON placeholder, and I'm going to be fetching this data from the users. So I'll put here the link where I want to get the data from, put a comma there. So what's the type of that data that we are getting? So we are going to get the data that is in the type of JSON. As you can see, it's in a JSON format. Now that's what we are telling Ajax to do. So we are just telling Ajax that we are making a GET request from this URL, and the type of data that we are going to be fetching, it is in JSON format. Then this is where everything now starts to get interesting. So we want to display that preloader to the user before the server handling that request. So before the server handles that request, we want to run this function or event which is called before send. So before we send the request to the server, we want to first display something to the user. Or before everything loads on your page, you display some little animation to the user. So before the request is made to the server, then we want to now to display this loader to the user. So I'm just going to say $. Remember, we gave it the ID of loader. I'm just going to say hash loader, and we say dot show. So before we do anything, before the server giving us the feedback, we are going to bring this preloader to the user. Comma there. Then there is also another function or event to run, which is complete. Or complete. Hope I spelled it. Yeah, complete. Then it's also an event function that will run when the server responds. So when everything is done or complete, it's what its meaning can also tell you. So we just hide that loader from the page. So we target that loader and we say dot hide. So when everything is complete, whether it's an error that we have got back, whether it's a success error, sorry, not success error, whether it's a success response, then it's going to hide the loader from the page. Then I'm first going to show you the different events that we are going to be working with. Then we are going to work with success. If everything is successful, this is what we are going to be running. Then if in case anything goes wrong, we run the error function. So basically, this is what we are doing. When we make a request to the server, they will first display the preloader to the user. When everything is complete, we hide that loader from the page. Then we either display the success message or error message. So these are the two important parts for us when we are displaying that preloader to the user. At first, when we make a request, they display this to the user. When everything is complete, either we get back some good result or bad results, then they will execute one of these two functions. So since we are getting data from this API and is in a JSON format, we need to loop through it and we get some bit of information from it. So what you're going to do is come here and pass in the data as an argument, and we are going to come here and create a variable, and I'm going to call it output, and I'm going to set it to nothing, and I want to loop through the data that I'm going to be getting from this API. As you can see here, we are having the ID, name, username. So I'm going to come here and I create some for loop for var I. So this is a variable that you can call it var x, var z. So I'm just calling for var I in data. So data is the argument I passed in here. So it's the response that we are getting from the server. Then I put my curly braces here, and I'm going to append data to this variable I created here. So I'm going to say output, and I say plus equals, and here we are not going to do some concatenation. I'm just going to put the backticks. So backticks are found near number 1 on your keyboard. So that button that is in front of number 1, it has backticks. things that will be looking like that. Let me first zoom in. So those are the backticks. Put a semicolon here. So I'm free to write my HTML inside here the way I want. So I'm just going to put in some list items here, an ordered list. And I'm going to put a little bit of information that I'm going to be getting from the server. As you saw, what we are having here, we are having the ID, name, so you can get different types of data. But right now, since this is a simple tutorial, I'm going to be getting only the ID. And here I put the $, curly brackets. Then I'm going to say data. Then as we are roping through, we used I. We put I, and we say .id. So right now I have access to the other ID you saw. I'm just going to copy this, and I'm also going to get the name and the username. Well, paste. So I'm going to get the name plus the username. Let me just make this obvious. Also username. Wow, error. So right now we have access to this data from the API. What we need to do is now output it on the page. So we are going to say $, excuse me. Now we target this ID, which is results. Which is result. Then we say .html, and we want to output this data, which is stored now in this variable called output. So that's for the success part. Now, in case anything fails, then I want to put some the page. We're going to that area, and we say HTML. So I'm just going to put my custom message. Fail to fetch data. I guess now that's it for the part of fetching data from the server. What we're going to do is come here to the page, reload it, and we click this button. So when we click it, they will display this preloader to us. Then we get the server response. As you can see, everything now works well. I'm first going to turn off the data, and we see if also the error part works. When I click this, I've turned off my data. They'll display that for some few seconds or anything, depending on how the server will be responding to you. So let's wait for the response. First press Ctrl Shift Alt and C in case we run into an error. Let me see what I did on the part of the error. I think everything is okay. Just that the server now is taking too long to listen to the event. I'm just going to turn off the Wi-Fi. So right now, as you can see, I've turned off my Wi-Fi, and we are getting the error message, failed to fetch data. So this is what they have got in case we bump into an error. Let me turn it on, I want to show you the different type of preloaders that we can use in this simple project. Let me turn on the Wi-Fi. I guess it's back now. When I refresh this page, we get that preloader. But now I want to show you, if you're working with this framework called Materialize, there are also other types of preloaders that you can use. As you can see right now here, I was using this image as the loader, but now Materialize has different type of preloaders that we can work with, and I'm going to show you only one, and it's called the indeterminate preloader. So I'm going to create a class here with the value of progress. Then inside it, we create another div that's going to be having the class of indeterminate. So this is a pretty simple preloader that you can put on the page, so long as it's inside this div with the ID of loader. So let's refresh this page. When I click this, you see that preloader running as you are waiting for the server response. So when everything's done, they hide it and they display our data to us. So these are the two important parts you have to put in your head. There is the before send. Before we send the request to the server, we show that loader to the user. When everything is complete, we hide it and either display the success function or the error function. What I want to show you is the other simple toast you saw on the page when we get the data. So the toasts are from Materialize. So I just wrote M and put toast, or not roast, it is toast. So what is rain when you get the server response? So we say m.toast and we pass in HTML as the key name. Then the value I just say fetched successfully. Oh, fetched successfully. I can put a comma there, put classes, and I want it in green. So in case I can do the same to this error message, I just put toast and I put what I did to the user to get data. Then classes, I want it in red, stuff like that. And let's try this and see if it is going to work out. Let's refresh the page. When I click this button, we get that preloader. As we are waiting for the server response, then they display it here, fetched successfully. We can do the same for the error message. You can come here and put the M there. Oh, then I'm going to say failed to get data. Then remove this successfully, and I want it to be red in color. So we have seen for success. Then I'm going to turn off my Wi-Fi so that we get the one for the error message. So right now we are waiting for the server response, and everything is going to fail because I have turned off the data. We are going to get failed to get data. So now they have ran this. So guys, if this was, please feel free to subscribe to the channel, like the video, share it on different social medias, and I'll be seeing you in the next tutorials.